You start us off some opening comments.
Just thought we played really well. From start to finish in all three phases. It starts on the mound, and I thought Ryan was sharp, especially after he got through the first couple innings, and it's baseball where guys as good as Ryan is, walks a guy and gets behind an account, gives up a double, and gives up 2 runs. But really after that, it seemed like he locked in and really stayed ahead to count. And you can tell that by the number of strikeouts he ended up with, 13. But I always think in this time of environment, you got to get the fans into it. You got to do something offensively. Usually, it's hard for fans to get excited about defense and pitching. Even though that's what we all say wins championships. So you needed somebody to break the ice, and of course, Zebo with a big home run and that big third inning by us, and able to put some runs up on the board, and or second inning, I guess it is, and big home run by Keenan, but several good extra base hits that allowed us to extend the lead. But I just thought we played real well tonight.
Questions? Mike, what do you like about the approach of your guys against Miller Hogan tonight?
Like we said, try to get the ball, elevated, try to get the ball into the middle of the plate, and watching him on film and talking to people that have faced him, he's a guy that really commands it. You can tell by just the numbers that he can command it. 100-plus strikeouts and, in the teens with his walks. And I thought we did a good job of not chasing some pitches. Subsequently we took some pitches, but I thought we put some pressure on him to get the ball, where we could get some good swings off, and we did.
Cole, did you think you got a little rattled as you guys had some early success against him?
I think he was competing the whole time, and we just did a good job of coming out and putting good ABs together. That was the goal the whole time, was just to kind of pass the baton to the next guy, and we got a hold of him in that that second inning.
Ryan, those first 2 innings for you, a little shaky, you gave up those 2 runs, but then you said, what worked for you? Was it just location issue? What kind of made you get that far?
I think it was a little bit of adrenaline. I was rushing a little bit and kept the balls elevated a little bit, and they were able to get their barrel to it. And then Coach B came out and talked to me, and he could see I was rushing a little bit, and I just had to go back to just pitching and relaxing and do what I do best, and that's locating in and out.
Cole, what were you looking for that home run?
Just to pitch out over the plate to get a barrel on, and I was fortunate that I got it.
Ryan, kind of started out a little slow there, as you talked about earlier, but how did you feel that you kind of settled in, especially with the team? How did y'all be able to fight that way, and how did you feel like this team's performance down the stretch tonight?
Yeah, I've said it all year. This offense has been great, and it's made it's easy as our pitching when they're putting up 15 hits, 9 runs. It's easy just to fill up the zone and let the defense work behind you.
Coach, what do you expect to see from Tennessee Tech if they're starting tomorrow?
And who am I starting?
Yes, sir.
Brady Feigl, and we expect to see one of the best offenses in the country, obviously. Some crazy offensive numbers, with not just the home runs, but batting average, and throughout the lineup, a lot like us, where it's not just from a couple guys. It's throughout the lineup, all 9 starters hit over 300. I think I saw today like 6, with double-digit home runs. It's going to take a real good effort on the mound against them, and they're good. They're a good club.
How'd you think Gray moved around today?
Thought he did well. And, when it's the hamstring, you just don't know how it's going to affect you. Obviously just the straight-ahead sprinting and getting out of the box and running around the bases. Like there was a play in that inning where we had bases loaded when Thomas got the sac fly. That ball he would have scored on with no outs when I guess it was Fortes that got the single. But, Mike, or Coach Clement held him up, which was a smart move. So there's things that, he can't do quite yet, but certainly when his presence on the field, means a lot.
Did the extra day of rest make him available?
I think he would have played tomorrow. It's as I said earlier in the week, the hamstrings, it's kind of a touchy thing, and you're not really sure. And this is something that when we brought him back earlier in the season, he was playing some games, and it was still aggravating him. So we sat him out, if you remember, a couple of midweek games. And So I really, to be honest with you, was hopeful, thought that he would play, yesterday, but, the one game, or one day, I think was a plus, at least in that situation.
Ron, you've been on one of the best stretches of your career. It kind of all started with that tough start in South Carolina. What did you work on after that, and to kind of, what did you figure out that allowed you to have this kind of stretch that you're at?
Yeah, really, it was just some mechanic work. Getting more directional towards home plate. I was struggling to get arm side and glove side. I think my advantage is, or my strength is to pitch into righties and away to lefties. So I was able to get back to that, and I'm working ahead in counts and keeping my pitch count down.
Ryan, was it what you expected tonight, starting Friday or Saturday of a regional home?
Absolutely. The fan base was awesome tonight, and running out on the mound, seeing all the students out there and everybody standing up and cheering, it just sends butterflies through you. So it was awesome.
Cole, last question for me. How did you feel like the offense hit the ball way after the 2-1 homer you hit? How do you feel like the team got in the grind later on down that stretch?
Like later on that inning, there was a bunch of guys on second base or first base, runners on base, and we were doing a good job of getting those extra base hits to get those guys in.